marketing department asked me to be as explicit as possible when explaining it.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I don't feel great when I am fed messages and when I was fed messages as a young girl.
In 2021, Ryan Reynolds sold Mint Mobile to T-Mobile for $1.35 billion.
You learn about Mountain Performance TV. I've asked real marketers and business owners.
The year before that, he sold aviation gin to Diageo for $610 million. He owns a Welsh football club. He owns a marketing agency.
It just seemed like an impossible dream, and what we're lucky to do as storytellers.
He was in the process of taking his advertising technology company, MNTN, public. A deal that would have valued the business at hundreds of millions of dollars. By any measure, Ryan Reynolds had built one of the most sophisticated personal brand empires in Hollywood history. Not just a movie career, not just endorsement deals, an actual portfolio of owned businesses, each one amplified by the same asset, the Ryan Reynolds brand. Witty, warm, self-deprecating, universally likable.
On behalf of Aviation American Gin, its parent company Diageo, we'd like to wholesale apologize for our previous commercial.
That brand is the engine. Everything else is what it powers. And then Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. And Ryan Reynolds' name ended up in the middle of it. By January 2026, his personal texts had been released publicly. Paramount had canceled 3 of his projects. He had been replaced as the voice of Deadpool.
You may be wondering why I brought you here. At some point, we must all join forces, become a team.
Taylor Swift had been subpoenaed. And the MNTN, the deal that would have converted his business portfolio into publicly traded wealth, had gone quiet. This is not a celebrity gossip story. This is a balance sheet analysis of what happens when a trust empire gets stress tested and what the numbers say about whether it survives. Chapter 1. What the empire is actually worth. Before you can calculate the damage, you have to understand what was there before it. Most people think of Ryan Reynolds as a movie star who does funny commercials. That framing undersells what he actually built by about $2 billion. The aviation gin sale gives you the clearest window into the model. Reynolds acquired a stake in Aviation American Gin in 2018. He didn't just become a spokesperson, he became an owner. He integrated himself into the brand's content, began marketing so completely that the product and the personality became inseparable. When Diageo acquired Aviation Gin in 2020, the deal was valued at up to $610 million.
That's why today, I'm introducing Aviation American Gin Homeschool Edition.
Reynolds' personal return from that transaction has never been fully disclosed, but his equity stake made him one of the primary beneficiaries. The Mint Mobile deal followed the same structure. Reynolds acquired a stake in the mobile carrier, built the marketing around his own persona, and sold to T-Mobile for $1.35 billion in 2023. Again, owner, not spokesperson. Equity music, not royalties. Then there's Maximum Effort, his marketing and production company. This is the infrastructure layer that most people overlook. Maximum Effort produces the campaigns, the content, the advertising. Not just for Reynolds' own brands, but for external clients. It's the machine that makes the model repeatable. MNTN is the next piece.
Mountain is transforming TV advertising by focusing on performance, and we've got an amazing team of people to do it, like Seymour Rowan.
It's an advertising technology platform focused on connected television. Streaming ads, performance marketing infrastructure, Reynolds has a significant stake. The company had been moving toward an IPO, a transaction that would have represented the largest single conversion of his business value into liquid wealth. Stack it all together, and you're looking at a portfolio that, at its peak valuation, represented somewhere north of $2 billion in enterprise value linked directly to the Reynolds personal brand. That's the music asset. Now, here's the single point of failure buried inside it. Every one of those deals, Aviation, Mint Mobile, Maximum Effort, MNTN,
Maximize performance by putting more resources behind commercials that work and pull back on the ones that don't.
was underwritten by the same collateral. Not a product, Not a patent, not a piece of real estate, a personality. The entire architecture rests on one thing: the public's willingness to associate Ryan Reynolds with warmth, humor, and trustworthiness. Remove that association, and you don't just damage his career. You compress the value of every asset in the portfolio simultaneously. That's not a risk that shows up on any balance sheet until it does. Chapter 2. Music, the lawsuit. Just the numbers. In December 2024, Blake Lively filed a legal complaint against director Justin Baldoni, alleging sex and a coordinated smear campaign following the production of It Ends With Us. The complaint included text messages, emails, and communications that documented an alleged coordinated PR operation designed to damage Lively's reputation after she raised concerns on set. That would have been significant on its own. But the filing also named Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds had allegedly sent messages to Baldoni that were characterized in the filing as hostile and threatening. His representatives responded publicly. A move that itself broke from his carefully maintained brand posture of staying above the noise. In January 2026, those text messages became public. The content was not criminal, but it was personal. And personal is the one register where the Reynolds brand cannot afford to operate in the negative. Baldoni filed a $400 million countersuit against Lively, against Reynolds, and against others in their circle. The damage claim against Lively included a $161 million figure, representing lost career opportunities and reputational harm. These numbers are legal posturing as much as financial reality.
Justin, how you feeling today? You look good. How you feeling?
Countersuits at this scale are designed to be maximally disruptive. But the disruption is real, even if the final settlement is a fraction of the headline figure. Because the real cost of this lawsuit is not the legal fees. It's what happened to the projects, the partnerships, and the portfolio in the months the litigation was active. Chapter 3. Blake Lively. Beauty, the leading indicator. Before we get to Ryan Reynolds' direct exposure, let's look at what the lawsuit did to Blake Lively's business interests in real time. Because this is your data point. This is what brand damage actually looks like when it converts from reputation into revenue. Lively had launched Blake Lively Brown Beauty, a hair care line, with significant industry fanfare.
That translates across the different businesses that I'm in. It translates into my personal life.
Pre-launch projections had the brand on track for approximately $100 million in first-year revenue. It had retail partnerships. It had distribution infrastructure. It had the Lively audience and the media attention that came with it. The end of 2025, actual revenue estimates had come in at approximately $15 million. That is an 85% collapse in projected value in under 12 months. It's not because the product changed. It's not because the distribution failed. It's because the reputational environment around the founder became too toxic for the brand to reach its projected ceiling. This is the mechanism. This is how lawsuit damage converts into balance sheet damage in the celebrity business model. The brand is the founder. When the founder's public perception shifts, the brand's revenue trajectory shifts with it. There is no firewall now. Apply that logic to Ryan Reynolds' portfolio. Aviation gin has already been sold.
Spilling even one drop of the world's highest rated gin will result in you being duct taped to your seat for the remainder of the flight.
That value is crystallized and protected. Mint Mobile has already been sold. Same protection. It's the equity events that already closed or insulated, but MNTN has not been sold. It's the IPO has not happened. The maximum effort client relationships are ongoing. The future deal pipeline, the next aviation gin, the next Mint Mobile, requires a Reynolds brand that still commands premium trust. That's where the exposure lives. Chapter 4. Paramount cancels 3 projects. In December 2025, Paramount canceled 3 Ryan Reynolds projects that had been in various stages of development. This is the most concrete, measurable career damage in the entire story. It's not sentiment surveys, not brand perception studies, not hypothetical risk modeling. Actual contracts actually canceled.
On behalf of Aviation American Gin, its parent company Diageo, we'd like to wholesale apologize for our previous commercial.
The specific projects have not all been named publicly, but the decision itself is the signal that matters. Paramount, a studio with hundreds of millions of dollars in development relationships, calculated that attaching Reynolds to its upcoming slate created more risk than value. That is an extraordinary statement about where his brand stood in late 2025 Hollywood. Studios are not moral arbiters. They don't cancel projects because they disapprove of someone's texts. They cancel projects because they model the risk of releasing a film headlined by a brand-damaged lead against the projected box office, and the math stops working. Reynolds' films have historically outperformed because of his personal brand pull.
Squeeze of lemon in there. And 1.5 ounces smooth Aviation American gin.
Audiences go to Ryan Reynolds movies partly because of the character on screen, and partly because of the persona they associate with the actor. Compromise the persona, and you compress the box office multiplier. 3 canceled projects represents tens of millions of dollars in lost development investment, lost production fees, and lost back-end participation. More importantly, it represents a studio's public signal to the rest of the industry about where Reynolds' commercial value stands. And that signal was received. But that wasn't even the most striking institutional move. Chapter 5, Music. They replaced his voice. In June 2025, while the $400 million lawsuit was still actively running, Ryan Reynolds was replaced as the voice of Deadpool in a production context. Neil Patrick Harris took the role. Let that sit for a moment. Deadpool is not just a character Reynolds has played. It is the single most complete fusion of actor and IP in his career, possibly in contemporary Hollywood.
You know, that came along and it was sort of like play Deadpool in this movie or we'll get someone else to.
The Deadpool persona and the Reynolds persona are functionally identical. The sarcasm, the fourth wall breaks, the self-aware wit. He didn't play Deadpool, he was Deadpool, being replaced in that role, even temporarily, even in a context that wasn't a full theatrical replacement, is not a routine casting decision. It is Disney and Marvel calculating that maintaining an uninterrupted association with Reynolds created reputational exposure for one of their most valuable franchises. Think about what it takes to get to that decision. Marvel's legal team, Disney's risk management function, franchise producers, all of them sitting in a room looking at the lawsuit timeline, looking at Reynolds' public perception data, and concluding that a temporary separation was worth the operational disruption.
How many of you have taken a human life? What in the ass? This team sucks.